What up, players? It's Wallboss Tay up in this mug. Warhammer Fantasy Empire Fluff Hunters video. Today we're looking at the province of Ostland. It's the homeland of the ancient Udoses. I'm looking at the Lexicanum entry for it, and I'm going to show you a little bit of my process for what I do when I go fluff hunting. So I've started taking to doing this, making a document of things that I like, things that interest me about the fluff, and then I list some things that I can do when making my own army, and then I've started kind of writing down a color scheme so when I do my tutorials it'll really help me out, but anybody could do it. It's really easy. So let's take a look back at the fluff of Ostland. So it is the symbol is a bull. The colors are black and white with red accents. Ostlanders are prone to heavy drinking. Booze is a cultural remedy to fear. Very funny. Full beards are common and indeed practical in the harsh, cold climate. It's bordered by Nordland, Hochland, Talabecland, and Kislev. Kislev is kind of like the old world's Russia. So you see a lot of the influence of that kind of carries over, in particular with Valmir von Raukov, the elector count who is in charge of it. I mean, look at that Mongolian slash just very kind of Russian look to it, I think, especially when you look at the names of the people he was associated with. He's had a romantic relationship, allegedly, with a tavern wench named Anastasia, and his sons' names are Vasily and Oleg. He's also got a son named Boris, who went to fame and fortune in the known halberdiers. So that's the ruler. I like to also look at famous or notable people to kind of get a flavor for the personality, and that's kind of what I did there. Now, when you look at this map that I found on Warhammer Empire, you can't really see it, make out all the detail, but most of the province is covered in the Forest of Shadows. And that's great because that tells me right away, right off the bat, that the people commonly deal with lots of beastmen, with goblins, and with bandits. Okay, so here's a little bit of a look from far away. You've got the Sea of Claws here with 2 port cities. And this map has to do with the what's it called? The War Against Chaos. I'm not sure what this one is called, but this is the new Great War with Archaon. So you see that when Archaon kind of took his armies out of the north, they went through Ostland to get towards the greater part of the empire. All these towns and cities and villages were sacked by the Chaos armies as they were going through. So even in the artwork, it's reflected by broken down towers, broken down roofs and buildings torn apart. Really cool for anybody who's interested in doing I guess what is supposed to be currently the climate over in Ostland. You can see over here it says circa 2522. The Grand Principality of Ostland, that's what it's called. I really love this herd stone over there, the blood fane. Cool, so you can say that your army, this is the practical applications of this, you could say that your Ostland force is a cleanup crew going in to kind of flesh out any remaining Chaos warbands. You could say that they're just a patrol that's trying to get their province back under control. Maybe a tribe of forest goblins coming out of the Forest of Shadows, worshipping this big spider god, has been wreaking havoc on a bunch of the villages, and so you've got a force that's going in to kind of clean them out. Lots of opportunity there. Okay, so there's the article for Ostland on the Lexicanum. If we close that, another thing I like to do is look at Cool Mini or not, or just Google search the kind of models I'm looking for. So here's a great sword from Ostland. You can see white and black with silver armor, red accent colors. Again, reflecting that they come from a cold climate, snowy base, which blends in well with the white sleeve and feathers and stuff. You look at the Games Workshop website for their great swords. You see that they painted up an example of an Ostland great sword, dark iron armor with white and blacks clothes in quarters, which means that the left sleeve and the right leg are one color, the right sleeve and the left leg are one color. I like the gold trim and the black iron of the armor. It reminds me of the Averland Pistolier that I painted up a while back with the red accent. Very, very cool, and this is probably what I'm going to want to paint my guy to look as. So, after doing all my research, I go and I write down everything that I learned. So, dour, grim, dark people, because of the fact that they have to live where the Chaos Army did probably most of their damage. Beards are common. Don't freeze, get a beard. Heavy drinkers, they drink a lot. The region is largely covered in the forest of shadows, so these are their common enemies that they would be fighting. And then it mentioned that Sigmar was worshipped in the capital, but the older gods, Ulrich, Taal, and Rhea, are worshipped in the more rural areas. So that gives us some creative opportunity when we're creating our guys. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but we have to take a look at what I think is one of the coolest parts of the fluff. A higher percentage of ogres live in Ostland than any other province. Many are now citizens who settled and joined their Ostlander family units. Ostlanders are impressed by firepower, and many of their weapons have double barrels. Bull warriors are common, whether they are simply heavy foot or a knightly order is unclear. So I'm going to take a look at the first part, how ogres live in Ostland. Lots of them. Many are now citizens who settled and joined Ostlander family units. So you can have ogres in your units as unit fillers. Obviously, they're not going to be ogres, but as a modeling and hobby perspective, that is a very cool opportunity for us. The Bull Warriors, they mentioned them as a regiment of renown, so we can either do heavy foot unit or a knightly order. And due to the proximity of Kislev, there's a lot of Russian themes, like I mentioned. So that's all the fluff stuff. What do we know from the books, from the supplements, from everything that can give us an idea of the region itself, the type of people, the enemies that they face, and this will give us the palette of creative colors that we can use to paint our army, the picture of our army with. So knowing all of that now, what I did was I created this list of practical hobby applications. So there are some scarred heads, I know in the Greatsword kit especially, and various Empire kits where we've got angry, scowling faces, scarred, bearded heads, a lot of bearded heads. So you can't do these with the state troopers because the heads are already attached to the bodies, as well as the crossbowmen and handgunners. But through the Knightly Orders kit, you've got the Knights of the White Wolf heads, which are all bearded. So you can use those or look for those through bit sellers on eBay. Bottle bits, there are also some Empire kits that have bottle bits to emphasize that they like drinking, or just loose bottle bits here and there. I know that they've got them in the Outriders and Pistoliers kit, because I think one of my Outriders has like a brace of bottles that you can clip to them, but that's another option to show that they drink a lot. If you are making an army and you want to have a considerable amount of long-range units, like archers, huntsmen, crossbowmen, or handgunners even, so people that are adept at fighting through non-battlefield-like conditions, like they don't have regiments and ranks and ranks and ranks of guys to go marching around through the forest. They want more, because their province is covered in so much forest. I imagine that they would like to use ranged troopers just as much, but also halberdiers and swordsmen and stuff to get stuck in with the whatever they fight, beastmen, like I said, forest goblins, all that kind of stuff. So justifying your unit by giving them their type, I think is really helpful. So if I wanted a unit of crossbowmen, then I would say that these crossbowmen are normally the garrison, or they're normally stationed here watching this one village that provides fish for most of the people in their region because it's next to a river. So they have to be well trained, and otherwise the supply of fish is cut off, and then people get hungry and malnourished, and so it gives me background, or I like to make background for all of my units. Otherwise, you're just painting a bunch of random things that kind of look the same. Okay, going on to warrior priests, you can use convert one up with a bearded head to make an Ulrican warrior priest instead of just having the bald, clean-shaven Sigmar warrior priest, which you can, because you could just say that he lives in the capital. You can also say that it's an Ulrican or a warrior priest that worships Ta'al or Rhea. Ogre unit fillers! Awesome. Oh my gosh, in a Great Swords unit, if you have an ogre with the helmeted head from the Iron Guts regiment, that would be amazing. And Iron Guts, yeah, totally. Use the Iron Guts guys that have like the double-handed weapons, right? And then just stick them in to a unit of Great Swords. Put them in the middle or in the back so your opponent can't say that you're trying to cheat or anything. I don't know why they would if it was in the front, but paint up his pants as if they're quartered, maybe green stuff, some like poofiness, and just have a blast. I think it would be really awesome. Great Swords can be that one unit, the Bull Warriors, or an Empire Knightly Order if you want to have mounted dudes. And maybe possibly get some out-of-print Kislev units off of eBay. Kislev used to have a whole all-metal range, and some of them might be inappropriate for an Empire army, but some of them might. Because remember, it's an Empire army, so Germanic, that kind of Empire style, but with that Russian flair to it. So maybe poofy Vostroyan-looking hats, or things of that nature. And at the bottom, I made a color scheme, which I'm planning on following for my tutorial. Hope you guys like this. It was just a little Fluff Hunters video of the Grand Principality of Ostland. Very, very excited now to continue with my series, my tour of the Empire, with the Emperor Karl Franz coming back, making more appearances, and getting up to his old hijinks. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.